and got it bumping.
Block 3, day 3. This one is going to be our first clean from block day. And actually the first clean from block day we've done together because there wasn't any in block 1 or 2. With this day, you can expect to see in your specific warm-up positions that'll warm up that clean. So we're going to start with 3 muscle cleans, but with no contact. The theory there is I've always been a believer that if you strip away some of the things that are typically abused in the lift, it'll force people to develop good habits in places that are typically skimmed through. A clean is a very easy movement to essentially just bully your way through having bad technique. So if your bump against the bar is violent and aggressive enough, you can skip through a lot of what happens in the pull just because your bump is so violent that it does the work for you. But obviously, at a certain weight, that bump isn't violent enough, and because your technique has never been developed, you start to fall apart. Taking the contact away or taking the bump away will force you to remember where the elbows go above the hip. And this is for both snatches and cleans. I'm going to be repeating this a lot in the WhatsApp group because it's something I want to develop through this block because I noticed it was a hole in a lot of people's games in block 2. When the bar comes off the hip, we don't want the elbows moving back. The main reason, the length of the radius and ulna, or the length of your forearm, as you go to pull back, is going to guarantee the bar being away from you. Think about it. For the bar to be right up against your chest, you would have to pull your elbows this far. No one's going to hit that at full speed with a heavy bar. Realistically, you might get them this far back, which is still a good 6 inches in front of your body, which is too far. We want the elbows to come up and out. Yes, we're giving up a little bit of height, but the bar is right up against the body. So when you go to get under it, your brain knows exactly where it is. You meet the bar a couple milliseconds sooner. It increases the stability of the catch in both the clean and the snatch. So in this block, let's really focus on the elbows coming up and out instead of back, okay? And this muscle clean with no contact will give you a chance to drill that skill. After you've done your 3rd muscle clean, you're going into 3 strict presses. These are from a front rack now, so collarbone press. Then we're going into 3 squat 2 jerks. So not a squat jerk, but a front squat where as you stand out of the front squat, you immediately explode into your split stance. It's very much the same thought process as the dynamic high hang snatch in day 2's warm up. We're just trying to build a little bit of trust, a little bit of fluidity behind some key movement points. So normally the dip drive is a place where a lot of things can go wrong for the jerk. This squat to jerk is just going to teach you how to be a little bit explosive, trust yourself a little bit, hold your balance a little bit better, and not have to take 10 seconds of thinking and anxiousness before you can get set for a jerk. Just trust it a little bit. And that's the point of the squat to jerk, just building some fluidity. The main lift of today is going to be a bit of a complex to start the block. So same thing as in the earlier days, the first 3 weeks you're going to see some lighter, but with much more volume complex work. This complex is going to have a clean from the blocks, followed by a couple of front squats, followed by a couple of push presses. By the middle of the block, these will be clean from block with a jerk. By the end of the block, they'll just be heavy clean from blocks, no overhead position whatsoever. So we're going to build up to some decent clean from blocks. And like I said in the overview video for this block, hopefully we're going to end up with a double from the blocks that gets really close to, matches, or beats your current 1 rep max clean from the floor. The accessory work for this day is going to be a little bit, I would call it less accessory, more almost cool down. There's only 2 moves. They're not very hard moves. They're weighted lightly. One of them is actually a mobility-based move. You got first your seated external rotation, which is basically just a rotator cuff health exercise, just going to get some blood into some key areas in your rotator cuff and almost just induce a little bit of recovery and keep range of motion strong, just trying to preemptively keep the shoulders healthy. Think of it as prehab. Then the second move is going to be a Jefferson curl. After the day 1 and day 2 being heavy overhead work with some squatting, and now this day being more heavy cleans off the blocks, we can assume that the back, spine, and abs are getting a little taxed and maybe feeling a little bit beat up. The Jefferson curl is just an opportunity to stretch that back out, breathe some life into your mid and lower back, and just kind of recover before you have to attack day 4. So think of the end of day 3 as more of a chance to recover and relax than it is to like get a pump.